Assalamu alaikum students. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful, today we are going to talk about chemical bonding, valency, chemical formula, and law of constant composition. In this picture, you can see two things here. Sodium is transferring one electron to chlorine. When salt is made, the sodium atoms each give an electron to a chlorine atom. When this happens, the atoms become ions. The sodium ion has a positive charge. You can see it here. When a chlorine atom gains an electron, it becomes a chloride ion which has a negative charge. So it's an anion and it's a cation. Cation is the one that has a positive charge, and the one that gives anion is the one that has a negative charge and the one that gains. The ions are attracted to each other very strongly because opposite electrical charges attract. This is known as ionic bonding. Most ionic bonds are very difficult to break. Ionic compounds are usually solid that will only melt at a high temperature. One of the examples of ionic bonding is sodium chloride, the salt. When in covalent bonds, a lot of atoms do not easily lose or gain electrons to form ionic bond. Instead, they share electrons between them. The electrons are shared in pairs called electron pairs. This type of bond is known as a covalent bond. A vast number of compounds have their atoms held together by a covalent bonds, including most of the chemical found in living things. So these elements or these molecules have low boiling point, they have low melting point, and they can be gases or they can be liquid because they have less attraction between them as compared to the ionic bonds. And there is no formation of ions here like there was formation of positive ion, that is known as a cation, and a formation of a negative ion, that is known as an anion. But there is no gaining or losing of electron, they are just sharing it, and that is why they are not forming any ions. So we call them covalent bonds. Valency, capacity of an atom to give, accept, or share electron to achieve the octet state. First, what is an octet state? Octet state is the criteria for an atom to achieve 8 outer electron or 8 valence electron. So every element wants to achieve this octet state, and for that they gain or lose electron. So valency is atoms are linked together in a molecule by chemical bonds such as ionic or covalent bonds. The number of bond an atom can form is called its valency. For example, on your screen, you see hydrogen here. So hydrogen has valency 1 because it has 1 electron. So if you look at the periodic table, you will see that the group 1A has sodium, potassium, and group 8A has helium, neon. So on the basis of the group, they have these valencies. Okay, so the valency of helium or noble gases or inert gases, the 8 group of the periodic table, their valencies are always a small whole number. The inert or rare gases such as helium and neon have 0 valencies. Why we are saying that they have 0 valencies? Because they are unreactive and do not normally form compounds because they have complete octet state. So that is the reason they are often referred to as inert gases, because they do not react in ordinary conditions. Whereas we have for example, for sodium, they have 1 valency. For potassium, they have 1 valency. For aluminum, they have 3 valency, right? So if you see the groups, you will come to know that they are mostly based on their groups. Law of constant composition. By the beginning of the 19th century, 2 important laws of chemistry had been discovered. One was the law of conservation of matter, which you have already learned in your previous classes, which says that matter can neither be created nor destroyed. It is simply changed from one form to another. The second law is called the law of constant composition. summarizes the result of many experiments and states that a chemical compound always contains the same constituents in the same proportion for weight. For example, no matter how the water is formed, the water will always have two hydrogen and one oxygen. No matter how methane is formed, it will always have one carbon and four hydrogen. So they have constant composition throughout the procedure. It does not matter how they are formed. They will always maintain the same composition. So all samples of pure substance contain the same element in the same percentage ratios, while mixtures have variable compositions. But this, according to this law, water will always have two hydrogen and one oxygen. Methane will always have one carbon and four hydrogen. Um, every molecule that has the composition will remain same, independent of the procedure of which they are formed. Whereas chemical formula is an easy one to understand. Chemical formula are just used to express the chemical composition of substances. For example, methane is CH4. For example, NaCl is from sodium chloride, and so on. So they are the easier way to express the composition, the elements involved. So we use chemical formula to save time to express thing in an easier way. So I hope you understand all these things, and take care, students. Allah Hafiz.